All right, real quick, square roots. We're going to be dealing with some of this today. So,
8,
very good. Good start.
15.
Good.
I put 12.247.
Good enough. You might have put 12.25. That's approximate value. But yep, perfect. Those are your square roots. If you're not sure where the square root button is, well, on a blue calculator, you type it, then hit the button. On the Game Boy looking calculators, a little more complicated, but not by much. It would be second than the x squared. And I'll leave those instructions so that when we take the test, you will not have to worry about it. All right, we're going to be dealing with that in and out today. All right, as we go to the next slide, I'm going to abbreviate some stuff because on the next slide, don't go too much into this next slide. Basically, this is more.
Do we do the shape things that you did to the triangle or no?
You don't have to. You can if you want, but you don't have to. I mean, basically, you have the largest triangle. Goal is we want to show everybody that the largest triangle is similar to the two smaller ones. But you don't have. I don't want you to go too in depth with this because the next slide, you don't have to worry about that as much. In fact, if we follow the instructions exactly as how I say them, that it's going to be the best way, easiest way we can solve all the problems that we do today or in your homework, which it looks longer. It's not as long as you think. It's just a lot more pictures. It's like our notes. A lot more pictures, but it's not as long as you think. If you follow the rules, you should have no problems with what's going on. Again, you have to follow rules. Also, the recording will be available. All right. We have calculators. We have pencils. Are we ready? So, we really need to concentrate today. All right. Basically, here's what I'm going to tell you all. This is not the only way how I typed up our proportion that is here on this next slide. You don't necessarily have to follow it. I'm going to show you an easier way to set up and solve these types of problems. So what's going to happen? The altitude, think about it, altitude, elevation. This distance right here. This is your altitude. So here's how I'm going to make your life easy. Rather than get confused with all this, I'm going to show you a slightly easier step. You're going to take your altitude. Well, actually, here's exactly how I want you to do it. First, set up your proportion table. Exactly how I wrote it, right here. Set a fraction bar equals second fraction bar. That's step number one. Don't get too cute with this. I'm going to show you an easier way. Don't worry about the smaller, larger triangle. Don't worry about that either. Here's the easiest way to do it. Two fraction bars. First, second, equals second. You can see that, right? Now your altitude, here's what you're going to do. Write it in the upper corner. However, you're going to rewrite it exactly diagonally, like this. Now, here's what you're going to do. These two bases, well, I'll just say alternate equals x, alternate equals x. So your altitude right away basically, you're going to write it once, and then write it again directly diagonally. So whatever you have here, you better have here. And we're going to do it by way of example. Now, here's what else you do. For problems like these, you have to understand the form. Here's how you're going to get one of your two ratios. Boom. See that value that's right here for the first base? You put that value there. So basically, this is your first ratio. And actually, you already have not one, not two, but 3 out of 4 parts. Here's your first ratio. Boom. The altitude over the x, altitude over the a, I'm sorry. But you kind of see it right here. There's your fraction bar. Boom. And then, this value b, you're just going to drop it right there. Now, you could, if the x was on this side, you could have wrote it x over b, a over x. They both work. So these, actually in the end, will still give you the same result. Either way you set it up. Either way you set it up, you're still going to get the same result. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your general trend. Altitude, write it once, write it exactly again, diagonally. Whatever's here, boom, put it right below. There's your first ratio. And then whatever's left here, boom, you put it numerator of the second one. Similarly, if your triangle looked like this, and you did it this way, that's permissible too. That is okay. You will still get the same. So even if you wrote x over b, copy your x, diagonal, drop the a, you're done. You will get the same result either way you play that game. That's the purpose of this one. Questions before we start? Again, set up, set up, set up. I cannot stress it enough. All right, we're going to do a couple problems of this type. Let's begin. Now, I kind of set it up. Now, going forward, this may not be the only way. What you see was one way. Another way you could have done it, because what's going to happen, the 6 and the x are going to flip, 8 and the x are going to flip, but that's okay. You're still going to get the same result in the end. So, either way, you use this method or the other method, you'll get the same, because right away, there's your altitude, x. And then, boom. There's the first ratio. So, right away, don't necessarily look at this. You look at this. How are we going to set up our first ratio? What's going to go on the top? Look at your diagram. Put the x. And then what about the 6? Where's that 6 going? There's your fraction bar. So where should we put the 6? Underneath the x. Now, since we know what our altitude is, being x, where are we going to put the x in the second ratio? Top or bottom? Got to put it on the bottom. Boom. copy, paste. Copy, paste. And then, what's going to go right above that X, right here? Drop the 8 right there. Boom. Now, you probably wonder, wait a minute, this is different than that. Looks different. However, when we do our diagonal multiplication, what two numbers did we still multiply? What two numbers are we still multiplying?
6 and 8.
6 and 8. You're still multiplying 8 times 6. And then, you're still multiplying x times x. So basically, we're back to this line here. Because 8 times 6 equals x times x. Is that the same as x times x equals 6 times 8? It is. So yeah. So even though we flipped that ratio, everything's still going to wind up the same. We just reversed the order. The 6 times 8, x times x. And then 48 still equals x squared. And then we just have to take the square root of 48, which, yes, you're going to get a decimal. Did anybody try it? 6.9 something. 6.92, okay. X is about 6.9293, somewhere in that area. But again, you get the same result either way you play the game. But the most important thing is understanding you put whatever your auto do it is, diagonal, keep it diagonal. And then here's your first ratio, x over 6. Copy that x, and then whatever's here, boom, you drop it on the top, the end. I think one of your homework problems is going to be exactly like this. You know, boom, there's your first ratio. Copy that, copy all the two, rewrite it down here. And then boom. Drop the last number, you're done. There's your setup. Questions? All right. All right, similarly. Again, you don't necessarily have to go with this setup. You can go this way too. Okay. What is our altitude for this problem? Altitude, be careful.
12.
It is 12, because the altitude is your height. Very good, Dennis. Altitude is your height. So therefore, how are we going to set up our first ratio? 12 over x, because boom, there's your fraction bar. 12 x. Now, where is this 12 going to go in our second ratio? Bottom. Just write it down here. Boom. Copy, paste. And then, of course, where's that 8 going to go? Just drop it to the top. Again, this is actually the same as this. So again, when you do your cross multiplication, you do your 12 times 12, 8 times x. Well, 8 times x is still 8 times x, we agree? And then 12 times 12, we still agree is how much? Do we have the same here and there? Do we have 144 equals 8x? 8x equals 144? Okay. I want you to solve for x at this point. What do we get?
18.
You should get 18. All roads lead to x equals 18, or 18 equals x. They are the same. Anybody have any questions? Again. Here's your first ratio. Boom. Write it down. Take your altitude. Boom. Copy it down. Again. And then this last number, drop it on the top. And then you're on your merry way. Okay, questions on this problem? All right. Next ones get a little more complicated, but not by much. Oh no, we still have one more. Okay, we still have one more. That's fine. Even though here, this one has a few more blanks. Well, the x is on the other side of the altitude, but that's okay because you can still, we still agree, we still get our first ratio, right? Because again, your altitude is x. Altitude is still x. So do we still see the x over 15 here? Now again, where am I going to put this x? Where's this x going to go? Top or bottom? So if it's here, diagonal. You gotta keep the diagonals the same. Now, yeah, your altitude rather, altitude are going to be in the same spot, but remember they are diagonal. They have to be diagonal to each other. Now, the last part. Okay, you have a 15. The grand total is 20. But are we going to put the number 20 here, or are we going to put something else in? So be careful. Does this 20 go here, or does another number go here? Look at that diagram. Gave us a grand total from here to here was 20. But notice, from here to here, so 20 total miles. So far we've driven 15. How many more miles do we have to go? So this distance from here to here is 5. 5. Anything you miss, get from a neighbor. And these are graded notes too. Now, we're in a position where we can do our cross multiplication. I want you all to try this one. Do our cross multiply. So what two numbers are we going to multiply here?
15.
Do it. 5 times 15.
75.
5 times 15 is 75. Then the last step, what do we have to do?
Square root of 75.
Do it. Take that square root of 75, which I know you're going to get a decimal. It's an equal
8.6660.
Yeah, so it's gonna be about 8.660. That keeps on going forever and ever, but yeah, that's about right. Very good. All right, questions on this problem? Again, you've got to get that set up. Again, you get this part, and then just remember, you copy the top to the bottom of the other. You already have 1, 2, 3 parts. Then you just got to get the last part. Boom. And then you're done. That's how easy it is. Now, the next few get a little harder. I'm telling you that right now. The next few, we're going to have to do a little more work. But again, 3 of the 4 parts are going to be almost the same. Because right now we did it with the other 2. Next 4 to 6 problems. The unknown or A value will be one of your slants, and I'll tell you how to set them up. Okay, questions before we continue? All right, here we go. All right. Don't necessarily go about this. However, and again, it's going to be similar to what you see here. All right. Let's think about this one. Let's make it easy for us. You can call this the left. You could either say left slant or left slope. What do you prefer, left slant or left slope? Your choice. Slant, slope, pick. Anybody. Okay, left slope. Think about like ski slope or something. I know we saw Winter Olympics. Left slope. Or you can call it LS. That's fine. Left slant, left slope, you're going to get the same thing. Here's how you're going to do it. You still have this part right here. You still have your first ratio. Do left slant, left slope, which is the X, over A. You still see the first ratio right off the bat. That's step number 1. Now, similar to before, the left slant also goes where? Where are we going to put this left slant in the other dot? Bottom. Right and left slant there. Here's the difference. Unlike before, where X was in the middle, the A and the B, we just dropped them like it. We just dropped them. This one's going to be a little more. Rather than just B, you have to take A plus B. For these types of problems, if you're dealing with the slant, you actually have to take the sum. So anytime your value is on the slant, you can still use your first ratio right here, X over A. However, if it's on a slant, the other one has to be the sum of the 2 bases. So that's the big difference between the previous problems. Where the previous problems, all the 2, they gave it to you, it was right there in the middle. But the next 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next 1, 2, 3, 4 problems that we do, We're dealing with the slant. And in the end, you're gonna just notice how, if you see if it's a left slope versus a right slope, what the difference is. So this might be easier to understand than that. So the only reason why I say you can set up like this might be easier, because we see the picture. The picture tells us right away. Boom. Ratio number 1. Copy. Put that X on the bottom. Add them up. Okay, if you need another pen or a pencil, let us know. We can get you something better. That's. Where's your agenda? Write that pass. And what did we miss? All right, questions before we start. And then again, this is still going to be the same, because no matter what, you're still multiplying x times x, and then a times a plus b. You're still going to get the same result, because you got that going on here too. Third. You still get the same thing in the end, so looks different, but it's the same. Basically, we just switched what you see here down there. Again, it's not wrong. This is basically saying 10 dimes, $1 bill. You switch it, 10 dimes, $1 bill. Do you still have the same amount of money? You do. All right, here we go. All right, again, don't worry about this so much. Here's how I do want you to worry. Let's go to the diagram. Here's your left slant. See, we have our left slant, the x. So in the end, there's your first ratio, x up to 7. Now, how are we going to set up our second part of the proportion? Well, what do we know is automatically going to go to the bottom? Copy, paste. It's right away what you need to do. Whatever your slant value is, copy, paste. Now, here's where we have to be careful. What number is going to go here? Whoever says 7 plus 21 is correct. You've got to add these two. The sum. Anytime you have the slant, you need the sum as well. 7 plus 21. Now, what is 7 plus 21? 28. Basically, that's what you have going on up here. Same thing. 21 plus 7, 7 plus 21. 28. Again, the key is figuring out this last number. You have to take the sum of the other two. And now, do we have our proportion? Can we solve for the x at this point? We can. Now, this proportion here, x over 7, 28 over x. Whatever, what we have here, is that the same as what's up here? Yeah, it's the same. Now we're at a point Here we go. You multiply 28 times 7, because now we're at our diagonals. Boom. Just like we multiply x times x. But who can tell us what is 28 times 7? Type it in your calculator. It is 196. Do we agree with Joey? Now, this is actually a real nice number because 196 is a perfect square. We can take the square root of 196. And what do we get? Joey says 14. Do we agree? Well, did we check our calculators? So you heard it. So Andrew's right. Anybody else? Take that square root of 196. If you're not sure how to do it in one of these calculators, let me know. You can talk about it. Yeah. Square root of 196 is 14. Boom. And yeah, take that square root, x squared, take that square root of 196. Again, if you're not sure how to do it on one of them calculators, talk to us. If you need a calculator, again, say something. Go. You need a calculator? Okay. So, dealer's choice. You can take this one or this one. All right. There you go. Asking, you shall receive. Questions? All right. Now the next one. Next one, be careful. I'll tell you why. Next one's going to be a little different. Again, don't worry yet about this. Don't worry about this part. In fact, put an X here. Put an X there, but I'll tell you why. All right, let's talk about this. You know the triangle is facing downward. You still have your left slant. You still have your first ratio. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There's your first ratio. Now, the left slant. This is where we have to be careful. What's our left slant in this case? Is it the X or the 10? It's the 10. This is the guy we got to worry about. That's the guy you got to worry about. I'm going to tell you why. Here's why you got to worry about this one. In the past, left slant was a variable. But the left slant is your whole number. So, who are we copying? Are we copying the X or are we copying the 10? You have to copy the 10 in this case. This guy. The 10 is your left slant. Left slant goes here as well. Now, total base. Okay, here's where you have to be careful. The total base, we actually already have our total value of the base. Here's how. You're probably looking at this like, oh, X, but we don't know this part. But do we still know the overall total distance of the base of the triangle? You actually do. The total base, the entire distance of the base. Who can tell us what is that total base? It is 24. You actually had it. This is your total base. Boom. There's your total base. You know you don't see it. You have X, but you have to take 24 minus X. However, if you add, what's X plus negative X? What happens when you add an X and a negative X? What happens? So I have an X. I take it away. What do I have? What's remaining? 0. That's why those guys would have canceled out. Boom. That's how you get your total base of 24. Entire distance you already had. Now, here's why in the end, this really didn't matter. Are we in a position where we can find X? Are we in a position where we can find that X value? We can. All right, because, go back to your diagonals. What's 10 times 10 equals, we go this way, we multiply 24 times X, right? Do we agree? That's basically what would have been up here. In the end, you have 10 times 10, 24 times X. And now we're at a point we can solve. Because what is 10 times 10? Who can tell us what 10 times 10 is? You don't even need calculators. Well, what is 10 times 10? 100. That's it. Yeah, 100 equals 24x. And then, what's our last step to get x by itself? What do we have to do to both sides of the equal sign? By? Do it. Okay. So then x is going to equal, you will get a decimal. Yep, that 4.16, and that's going to go. The 6 is go forever. Oh, you can put a bar over that 6. Where's your agenda? Okay, questions? Again, most important part. Okay, your setup. I can't stress this part enough. You don't get that setup. Take a bite of the problem. I'm telling you that right now. All right. Questions before we go to the next problem? Well, the next two problems are going to be similar. You don't have the actual section? Okay, the only difference now is, again, this, use a right slant. Again, boom. The X is just on the right rather than the left, but it's going to be the same idea in the end. You just have to know what number you're going to first put on a bottom. There's your right slant. Again, keep your right slant. And then of course, there you go. So one before. First ratio, copy that right slant, put it down here, add your bases. So it's basically the same idea. You're responsible for what you miss. All right. Questions before we continue? Basically, same idea. Only difference is your slant is on the right, but not by much. You just now have to know, okay, I have to divide this number with directly below. Take my slant, copy it, add the bases, boom, you're good to go. That's simple. Same idea. All right. Let's look at these next two problems. Any questions before we go on? Okay, we need that?
You already got it.
Okay, do we need the phone though? All right, let's look at this. Please don't worry about that yet. Worry about here. Okay. Is this the left or the right slant? This B. Left or right slant? Right slant. Name it RS. Right away, we have our first ratio. So what are we going to put for the first ratio? What's going on top? What's going on the bottom? Yo, 56. Now, 72nd ratio. Where's my right slant going to go? Where's my right slant going to go in this second ratio? Bottom. Copy. Paste. Now, what number am I going to put above that B? Whoever said 56 plus 7 is correct. Add these two. Boom. That's what's going here. But what is 7 plus 56? 63. So in the end, 63 is going to go here. So 63 is going to go here. Boom. So here is there's your proportion. And you have that up here too. Now, are we at a point where we can solve for a variable? We have all 4 pieces of the puzzle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. We agree? Now we do our diagonal multiplication. Because b times b, we get b squared. Now, what 2 numbers do we have to multiply here? How are we going to fill in this blank? What 2 numbers do we multiply? 63 times 56. What do we get when we multiply them 2 numbers? Okay, where's your calculator, Eric?
I never found one.
Okay, well, you should have asked for one long before now. 3,528. Well, you can get one behind knowing. then what's our last step? What do we have to do? Square root. Square root b squared, square root 35, 28. Again, you will get a decimal. Square root of 3,528 is how much?
59.39.
Yeah, that's about right. So that value of b is 59.39. There you go. All right, questions? We're going to do one more of this type. Okay. Again, this one's going to be a little more tricky. We have to do a little more math. Okay, first off, rather than b's, it's going to be y's. You change your b's to the y's. Now, here's what we need to do. We're going to fill these blanks momentarily. Okay. What's given to us? We have to solve for a y. Don't even worry about this x. Scratch that out. This doesn't even exist. So is the y, is that the right or the left slant? Right slant. So we have y over something. Now, can we figure out what that something is down here?
Where? The denominator?
Yeah, but this part, only that part.
The left slant?
Okay, well, is there anything with the left slant?
No.
We're not even worried about the left slant. Now again, right slant, you know a couple things right off the bat. That's our right slant. And the other, where's our right slant going? Top or bottom for the other one? Right away, there's your, that's part of it. But what do we have designated as the right slant for now? The y. Okay, we have that part. Now here's where the questions are going to come in. We don't know what this denominator is yet. The key word is yet. Can we figure out that denominator?
Yeah.
We can. Anybody know what that denominator will be? How'd you get 20? Say again? Exactly. 60 minus 40. That's 20 right there. Boom. This denominator is 20. Now, what would be the numerator of the other part of our proportion? You're adding, you could add something, but rather than 40 and 60, you're going to add 40 and, you add 40 and 20. But what does the 40 and 20 get you? 60. Okay, what just happened here? All right, give me a second. That's all right. All right. Give me 1 second. It looks like the Zoom messed up completely. Okay, hold on. Let's resolve. All right. Okay, not the end of the world. So in the end, here's our proportion. You have 60 over y over 20. We have y times y equals, now we're going to multiply 60 times 20. Well, what is 60 times 20? 1200. You need an extra zero there. And then last step, what do we have to do with the 1200?
Find the square root.
Find the square root of 1200, which is how much? Good. So 34.64, that's going to be your square root. Okay. Again, most important part. There's your first ratio. Remember, right slant, copy it. And then add two bases. That's the top of the other. Any questions on these types of problems? So in the end, it doesn't matter if it's a right slant or a left slant. If your slant, you're going to see it twice. Make sure it's diagonal. And then look at when. So for the first part, boom, there you go. You have your first ratio. And then, if it's a slant, add your two bases to get the numerator or the other. Or denominator, depending on how your triangle appears in the diagram. All right. Now, the rest of these, going forward, what we're going to do next, basically, it's just stack and move the rest of the way. I will show you. So, let's get ready. Cindy, get ready. Okay? Okay. Don't worry so much about the words. Basically, you're just going to be taking, you're going to basically take the diagram, set up your proportion. Basically, these two sides on top are going to be proportional to these two sides. Sometimes they might say these two sides overall total. That can work too. Don't worry about all this. Just worry more about it. There's your first ratio. Second ratio, set them equal, solve. Done. Similarly, set up your ratio. Here's your first one. Second one, set them equal, solve, done. That's all you need to do. That's why I'm calling it the stack and go method. So you will see a couple of these on your homework. But basically, that's what I'm saying. Stack and move. That's all you're doing is stacking and moving along. So the first example, here's what we mean by stack and move. Get your first ratio right here. There's your x over 4. You're going to set it equal to the second ratio. That's what we mean by stack and move. You have all your information. Can we solve for x at this point? We allowed to solve? Can we solve for x at this point of the game? Do it. I want you to solve for x. So you're going to fill in those next 3 boxes. Brian, wake up. Good morning. Kind of gave you what you need to do. There's your 16 times x. Okay, what 2 numbers are we multiplying here? What 2 numbers? 4 and 12. But I want you to solve for the x the rest of the way. Give you, should not even take you 2 minutes. Dennis, did you solve for x yet?
I'm a little confused on this.
Well, first off, here's your 2 proportions. See these first 2?
Yeah.
Top over bottom. That's your x over 4. Equals top over bottom for the second part.
So we cross multiply?
Yeah, we've been doing that all along. You doing that all day? That's what we've been doing all day. Cross multiplying. All right, anybody get a value of x? Well, what's 4 times 12? 48. 4 times 12, 48. And then divide both sides by what number? 16. We've been doing this for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. So x is what number? 3. There you go. It is that simple. Questions? All right, get ready to do the next one. Once we have it, same idea. Again, here's the setup. Boom. Boom, there you go. That's all you need to know. I'm basically giving you the proportion. But that's what we mean, stack and go. I want you all to solve for the x. Where's your agenda? You don't have your agenda? You need to get one ASAP. You take one of them down, you're there, you're back, whatever you missed, that's on you.
Yeah.
Not right now. We got it later. It's time at the end of the period, maybe. Just worry more about, do we have a value of x? That's what I'm worried about. Again, you already have your first step. There's your 6 over x, 8 over 5. Boom. Boom. So 6 times 5, what number do we get? 6 times 5, are we awake? 30. And then last step to get that x, what do we have to do? Nope. By 8.
3.75.
You will get a decimal, 3.75. There you go, that's simple. That's what we mean, stack and go. Here's your stack equals stack and go. That's all. Questions? And I believe one of your homework problems is going to be looking like this. Stack it and go. And if there's time, we might be able to start, but I can't promise yet. All right. Next couple. So with the triangle, anytime you see the triangle, that's all you need to know. Stack and go. You could either stack it this way, or if it was turned around, it's still a stack and go deal. So even if your triangle looked like this, you're still going to get the same result. So even if it looked like this, if you went this way, boom, you still get it. All right. Now, this part, basically, same idea. Rather than the triangle, the lines go on forever. But your proportion will still work. Basically, whatever you have here, whatever value's here, over that one, equal to this one, over that one. Now, if it was the other way around, it's still going to be the same idea. Still the same idea. The only difference would have been these two distances would have been equal to those two distances. So even if it looked like this, still be the same idea. Questions before we go on? Basically, again, it's all stack and go. Stack and go. And once we see a couple problems, you'll know exactly what I mean. We're just stacking and going. Again, this is what we mean, stack and go. Boom. There's your first one. That's all. That's all you need to know. When we get to the next page, there you go. You have your two. Even if it went the other way, the opposite way, you're still going to get the same thing in the end. So let's find the value away. This is one way you can solve for it. And even if it went like this, it's 20, 8, 18, and a 9, you're still going to get the same thing. So you have it this way, you have it that way on the top. You're still going to be multiplying diagonally. You're still gonna multiply that 20 times 9, which, who could tell us what 20 times 9 is? 180. And then 180 divided by 15. There you go. So even if this turned around and looked like that, that A equals 12 will still be the same. So it is as simple as stack and go, stack and go. All right, questions on this one? All right. Moving on. I want you to try to find an X. Again, here you go. Here you are. There you go. There's your setup. Solve for that X. I want you all to try this one. If you get it, raise your hand. All right, anybody get a value of X? Sounds good to me. Yep, it's all right. 7.5 over 10. 8 times 7.5. 60 equals 6x. Divided by 6. Boom, there you go. Questions? All right. Remember, gotta have these slides completed, otherwise you're not gonna get full credit for the notes. Okay, moving on. All right, this one, let's just get the setup. I'll give you the value of X, you can check.
What's the last one?
Go, X is 10. Yo. Right, last one, we're just gonna talk about a setup. But there's one piece of information we're missing. Right here. Who can tell us what is that distance? Right there.
35.
Careful, 35 is that total. It's 15. That's what we gotta be careful. 15. Now, who can tell us one of maybe 2 ways we can set up this proportion? There's actually a couple ways we can set up this proportion. Who can give me one way? Just one way. I just want us to go over the setup, but then that's it. We're not gonna do more than that. Who can tell us what's one way we can do this setup? Give me a hint. Stack and go. So anybody, take a shot. Who wants to take a guess?
4x and 15.
What's that?
4x and 15.
How do you want to write that? Well, how do you want to write it? Let's talk about that. How do you want to write the 4x minus 2 into 15? What's one way you could write? That's something. Let's talk about that real quick. How do you want to set it up? What would you do? Say again? But wait, okay, how do you want to write it? What's going top or bottom? 15 on the bottom? Okay. All right, that's a good start. You can do it that way. There's one of them. I'm okay with that. Now, what would be the other part? What would go here and what would go there? He's on the right track. You got the first part. You stacked it. Now, how are we going to stack the other one? What's going on top? What's going on the bottom? Okay, don't even worry about 35. Don't worry about the 35. Okay, you set it up. Where's 20 going? Careful. 20's going to go on the bottom. Boom. You have this. You set up this way. There's the other part right here. You have to use the 20, not the 35. That's the easiest way to set it up. Now, I'm not gonna, see, this is one way. That's not your only way, but that's a way. What's that? All right, I'm going to give you the answer for X. You're going to have to find it on your own. I believe you get X equals 5. If memory serves me right. Good. 18, 36. No. 24. Okay, yeah, it's going to be X is 5. I'll tell you that right now. You can try this at home. But due to time, I want us to talk about the last couple problems. And again, last couple problems, stack and go. I really want to, basically with the angle bisector, same thing. I just wanted us to worry about the setup. If you get the setup, you have everything else. I know this would have been a little more work. 20 times 4x minus 2, 15, 7x minus 11. I'm worried about you understanding this. Once you get here, this is not so bad. This might be a little timey. I haven't done these types of problems in a while. But I'm worried more about getting here. Okay. Last couple problems. Basically, we got angle bisector. It's going to be the same idea. This is one ratio. This is the other. That's basically what you have going on. Now, you could also see it like this. If it was completely upside down, it would have been the same idea. Boom. So there's more than one way this could be right. Because even if you see it upside down or right side up, let's say if it was right side up. Boom, boom, there you go. There's your one ratio, there's the other. Set them equal, you're on your merry way. So it could be this way, or it could be that way. And I think for both of our problems, one's gonna look like this, one's gonna look like that, and I'll show you. Basically, this one, actually, boom. There you go. There's your proportion. So yeah, even if it's up and down that triangle. There's your first ratio, there's your second. Solve it. So really quick, 12 times 24, we can give it 12 times 24. Not done yet. And then what's 288 divided by 18? Thank you, Andrew. So again, there's a ratio right there. Last one, same idea. Do a little bit of math for the last one. There's your first ratio. Here's your second. However, what number is going to go in that denominator of the second ratio? Why 28? Why not 70? 70 minus 42, 28. And then in the end, 35 is 42, x is 28. This should actually be 28x. Okay, who can tell us what 35 times 42 is? You got calculators. Get it real quick. 35 times 42. 1470. And then divide both sides by what number? There you go. And you will get a decimal. What number is x? Yes, very good. All right. Ms. Ahmed is going to pass out the homework. Your homework is based on the notes. Next class, test review. Yeah, you bring these notes back because actually, before you go, you're gonna show me as you walk out the door whether or not you did all your notes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So you did your notes. Notes, did we complete them? Yes, no? Okay, some of these are not totally complete.
Will be completed next class.
Well, it should have been completed by the time we walk out the door. Baby, we have some blanks. What's going on? Why we have some blanks? There's a blank. Okay. All right, thank you for your honesty. All right. Well then, You better complete these notes by next time because they're gonna be good, it's gonna be a grade. Alright, I know you guys are good. Alright, I wanna see some notes real quick. Flip them through, flip them through. Keep flipping, keep flipping. Good, good. Alright, good, good, good. And I know you're good too. Trying to stay ahead. Okay, what's happening next class? Who can tell us what's happening next?